The last of the big high street record shops was saved from oblivion again this week when it was announced that HMV had been bought out by the Canadian firm Sunrise Records. Unfortunately, the rescue comes at the cost of a slew of shop closures across the country. 27 stores were earmarked to close with the loss of almost 1,500 jobs. Among the shops to be axed had been the original Fopp store on Glasgow's Byres Road, but it was last night given a reprieve following an outcry by customers. But while HMV and its subsidiaries live to fight another day, online sellers and streaming services continue to hoover up an ever larger share of the business. So is there a template that can stop the rot, or have big record shop chains simply had their day? Here to discuss this now is Kim Bailey, who's Chief Executive of the Entertainment Retailers Association, and the music journalist and contributor to Forbes, Mark Beech. Well, Mark, I know you're a fan of physical record shops.
Yeah.
And I can see there's a role for niche ones selling things like vinyl records, but is there really any long-term future, do you think, for a large chain like HMV?
I think there is, if they do it right. And good morning, everyone. I'm so pleased to hear about the news about a store being saved. That's fantastic news. But, you know, the template, I think, would need to involve some of the things that the group that's come in to rescue HMV have talked about already. That's to say that, unfortunately, they probably are going to need to slim down stores. There are some where it's just simply too expensive and not getting enough footfall through the shops. But having done that and kept costs under control, they can start looking at what HMV sells, for example, whether it should do more vinyl. That seems to be something that people were talking about. I went along to the Oxford Street store on the day that this second bankruptcy was announced, and there were a lot of customers there saying that they would certainly go into the shop and buy vinyl. It's one of the places they could do.
Well, Kim Bailey, part of the problem, though, isn't it? I mean, these problems, which are now generalised in retail, I mean, in a way, the record industry and the book industry was an early case of it. But even if you specialise in vinyl records, you can go on the internet and buy vinyl records and have a choice, which is probably greater than you could find certainly in any individual shop.
You can, but actually what we find with a lot of customers is that they don't want to buy vinyl from online stores, because a lot of vinyl customers, they really love the fact that vinyl is pristine. They don't want dented corners. They value the kind of advice that you get in store from some really passionate people who work in those record shops. So
sure, but
actually they can work alongside each other. That's
not going to keep a big chain going.
Well, I think a big chain sells more than just vinyl. It sells vinyl, It sells CD, it sells DVD, it will sell T-shirts. I know that, you know, Sunrise Records also sell toys and, you know, related product. And I think what you've got to do is make that shop a really good experience for the customer with the kind of products that they want to find. And I think that's what you'll find Sunrise will do. And they'll also try and localise the stores a bit, get the local customers in buying local bands.
Presumably one of the problems they have is that when they started in the record industry, in the book and with bookshops, they were the first things to, you know, companies like Amazon got into. But now the problems that they faced years ago, and which have led to this situation at HMV, are starting to happen with just about every physical store. So the context in which reviving a company like HMV is going on is in a high street which has got problems which are way bigger than just HMV.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the high street has massive rents and rates, don't they, that they have to pay, that online retailers don't have to pay, which is why they have to think about, you know, how to make that experience more valuable to the customer in order that they want to go there.
Mark, what's your view on that?
Well, everything that's just been said becomes absolutely right there, actually, and it's certainly true but there are ways round. There is a template that could be done. It's worrisome a little that the HMV was saved a few years ago by Hilco, which is a turnaround specialist, and they weren't able to pull it off, having gone through many of the right hoops, I would say. We can't put too much stress on vinyl, you know, and it's a part of the industry that's been growing, but nonetheless, if you look at the total incomes that come on through, that I did piece for Forbes not very long ago, we're looking about 50% plus of revenue in the music industry comes from online and streaming and stuff like that, and then CDs with about 30%, and the albums is comparatively small, it's a few percent. But nonetheless, you put all these things together, you make it a more interesting experience. You do some of the things that HMV did in the past, for example.
But Mark, it's like anything, any other industry, that these physical products, I mean, mean, the trend is downwards, but it's a slow process. So you might make money by selling these physical CDs and records in the medium term, but as a long-term future?
Well, people have been writing the obituary for bookshops, for example, and that's been going on for some time, and they've survived for exactly the reasons we've talked about there. There are some things which people do want to see them. As I say, they want to see a 12-inch record, so they might want to see a nice book. It's something which you can put underneath a Christmas tree at Christmas time or give as a present, but you don't get that same experience if you've just got a digital thing. You've just got a digital voucher. Here you are, happy Christmas or happy birthday. It's not the same as saying, here is the thing which I've bought from HMV, and bump, there it is.
But of course, Kim, there is another side to this. I mean, when I was a teenager and you'd save up your 17 and 6 for an album and go and buy one, and maybe you did have a stronger emotional attachment to it way back in the 19th century. But nowadays, I mean, if you're young, you can, by paying a subscription to a streaming service, you instantly have access to millions of albums. I mean, it's a completely different world.
You do, and I don't think anyone's denying that streaming is a fantastic service, and a lot of young people are adopting streaming in greater numbers. But actually, it's those same young people who've been driving the growth in the vinyl market, because actually, when they really love an artist, like the Arctic Monkeys or something, they actually want to go out and have the vinyl to prove that they really love that artist and have something really special, and turntable sales are growing. So that is a market that's seen an awful lot of growth over recent years. So these things don't work in isolation. People aren't either physical or digital buyers. They do a bit of everything.
All right. We'll have to leave it there, Luke. Mark Beech and Kim Bailey, thank you both very much indeed.